Welcome to another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the Almighty B Live, the Money Man Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative, Eddy Cool. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. Hey, what's going on, world? This be your boy, the HOC up in here, Eddy Cool. And guess what? This is episode number 104 of the Sports Bros Podcast. That's right. Your favorite sports podcast is back for the 104th installment of the Sports Bros Podcast. And of course, you know I can't do this by myself. I mean, I could, but eventually you'll get tired of me talking because there are times I get tired of me talking as well, too. And with that being said, I'll be introducing first the Almighty B Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? Where do I start? Where do I begin? Well, as I always do, I start off my day with the Sports Bros Podcast because it's my favorite podcast as well. And then at some point in time, I look back over and I see the shenanigans that come from that other guy that's on the show that Eddy Cool's going to introduce. And I kid you not, I like laughing at myself. And I watched a clip from last week's episode that had me crying laughing. That's just the shenanigans of the other guy. Yes,
you like yourself. You like yourself.
I mean, I have jerseys that have my nickname on them. You know, I mean, where did they do that at? Oh, this guy.
Yeah. Literally and figuratively. And with that being said, the other guy that B-Live is referencing to, the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania, none other than the Money Man, Scottie D.
Thank you. Good to be with you on this post Monday after the Masters, bros. Monday after the Masters. And all I can say, Matsuyama, I called it. I'm so glad I called that one.
When?
Go back and review the tape. Anyway, let's talk about it. Let's not go back. Let's go forward. And
You're going to start off the show
I
live.
I called that one.
And Scottie, I just want to let you know real quick that me and Eddy Cool were talking last week and that we did conclude that we are lucky to have you.
Awesome.
That you are the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, you are.
But there are certain other things that are gifts that keep on giving, and I'm not going to mention them because might not be safe for work. So I'm just going to leave that alone. So
in other words, the FCC won't let us be an NSFW. So I'm gonna stop you right there, B-Live, before you go any further. All right. As Scottie D alluded to, it is the Monday after WrestleMania. We'll talk about that later, and Monday after the Masters. A tradition like none other. Did I get it right, Scottie D? Is that how Jim Nance says it?
A tradition unlike any other. The Masters on CBS. Hello, friends.
Yeah, none other, any other one. With that being said, we're going to talk about the Masters. We're going to recap the Masters. And fellas, Hideki Matsuyama, not none of our picks, not DeChambeau, not Koepka, not none of them. You know, they didn't even win. Half of them didn't even make the cut. Finau was in there. He was, he finished 10th. But Hideki Matsuyama wins the Masters, and he's the first Japanese player to win the Masters. Some historic stuff. And with that being said, Scottie D, what are your thoughts and takeaways from this year's Masters?
Well, all day Sunday, it seemed like it was over. And we were texting amongst each other, and I kept saying, it's over. It's over. And it's silly for me to say that because I've watched this tournament enough times to know that anything can happen at Augusta. And sure enough, at one point, Matsuyama up 6 strokes. It was in the bag. And then it wasn't in the bag. Xander Schauffele made a little charge. It went from a 4-shot lead down to a 2-stroke lead. And then they got to the 16th tee box. And what happened? Xander Schauffele plunked one into the water, sealing the deal in essence. I actually think Matsuyama may have won the tournament by a couple more strokes had Schauffele not done that, because on his next shot, Matsuyama played the ball way out to the right and he didn't go after the fly goal. He played extra safe, and it ended up being a 3-putt bogey. He actually bogeyed and picked up a stroke on that hole. In the meantime, you had young Will Zalatoris sitting at the clubhouse at 9 under, and he ended up only losing by a single stroke. That's what's. I'll tell you what, guys, this is what is crazy about Augusta, and really in golf in general. It's hard to at the beginning of a tournament make a pick. Eddie Cool, you picked Dustin Johnson. He didn't make the cut. This guy 6 months ago, not even 6 months ago, won this thing. He doesn't make the cut, and Will Zalatoris, who's never played it before, loses by a single stroke. I mean, that just shows you what a difficult course this is to navigate on a consistent basis. But after the weather delay, I think B-Lab, we were talking about that earlier, how Matsuyama on Saturday kind of really got hot. And at that point, my guy, Justin Thomas, was in the thick of things, come back from the weather delay. He had a triple bogey 8, and he was done for the tournament. He was pretty much gone. And it was there from that point, it was Matsuyama's pretty much to win. And congratulations to him for doing that, man. That's, he had they kept saying he has all this pressure on him. The weight of Japan was on, the weight of the world was watching him, and he came through. So good for him. And, I find him, even though he doesn't speak English, you hear what he's saying through his interpreter. I find him to be a likable guy. So congratulations to Hideki Matsuyama.
And B-Live, as you mentioned, weather did play a factor at the Masters as well, too, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And before I go into my expert analysis of the Masters, I'm not an expert, by the way, but I'm really starting to sound like one over the course of the past few weeks, boys. Some of the things that I've been coming to say have been coming into fruition. I said, and Scottie D's gonna give me my credit at some point in time. I said this was not over. Watch out for Xander. Watch out. Did I not?
You did, and I said it's over, and it was.
It was not over.
Did he win? Did Matsuyama win? Did he ever relinquish the lead?
He came very
over. It was
very close. He tried to, but no, man, Xander, what are you doing? Kerplunk. Oh my goodness. And but it's one of the things I also mentioned I mentioned, as much as I like Dustin Johnson, playing in April, the conditions are completely different than playing in November. And that's why I couldn't get behind him. I just had a feeling that it wasn't going to be the same golf course. And guess what? I was right again. Man, DJ, what happened. But then I was just wrong with my picks anyway. Patrick can't play golf. I mean, I think he was like plus 12, missed the cut. DeChambeau barely made the cut, and then he couldn't get it all together. His short game, which we were praising him about.
That. Yeah, talk about that. Yeah.
The short game that we praised Bryson DeChambeau, the improvements that he made and everything, was non-existent. Like, his driving game is we talk about that. That's always going to be the highlight of his game. But where he was improving, where he was consistently competitive, was his short game. And that did not exist at the Masters. It did not at all. And so,
it just shows you cannot overpower this golf course.
Mm-mm.
Right. You cannot overpower the golf course.
Oh, also, who did we say last week? We said that he was affected by the way that Bryson DeChambeau played, where he didn't play.
Rory McIlroy.
Now,
and he was terrible. He had a terrible week, or 2 days, I should say. But let me ask you this, B Live. You watched it all the way to the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Matsuyama was walking up to the 18th green, he had put his second shot in the bunker. At that point, were you a little nervous that the fans were giving him a standing ovation? Because he had to make bogey to win, which seemingly shouldn't be that hard. But if that's me, I'm going in there, I'm going to take 3 shots to get out of that bunker and lose that tournament. Now I expect better from him, but they had earlier showed how Arnie Palmer in a similar situation had a bad bunker shot, a bad lie. He was plugged and end up double bogeying and losing the Masters. But when, Matsuyama was like tipping the cap and they're giving him a standing ovation, I was nervous there. I was like, don't do that.
I was like, don't. Like you alluded to before, you thought it was over. He thought it was over. The crowd thought it was over. Hey, little buddy. Whoa, little you made it through, but don't. But man, and Masters will eat you up alive. It is not. It is not. It is unforgiving at times, and so he ended up winning. He doesn't have that, but man, if he would had that one, oh my goodness, we would just oh boy.
Especially too, because if something crazy would have happened where he would have, hit the ball fat out of that bunker and then 3-putted, it would have been a lot harder for him to rev that engine up and go into extra holes than Zalatoris, who at that point would have been playing with house money. I think all the pressure then would have been strictly on Matsuyama and not Will Zalatoris, because there was no expectation for him. He was already done. He was over on the range, hitting balls, loosening up. But man, what a swing that kid has off the tee box. Oh, what a majestic swing. He hits the ball a long way. You watch DeChambeau hit it. It looks like it looks like he's exerting all of his energy to hit that ball like a mile. Zalatoris, man, he just has that long wings. Oh, he just looks smooth to me. I think he might have been the star that was born during this tournament more than anyone else, to be honest with you.
Kid's got a nice swing like Ken Griffey, man.
Oh, very, very nice swing. But again, I love that tournament. I love the Masters, and I thoroughly enjoyed throughout the weekend being able to sit and watch it.
Yeah, but it was great seeing the Masters again in its rightful spot where it should be in the spring, in mid-April after Easter. How does it go again, Scottie D? The Masters, a tradition.
The Masters on CBS, and with fans this year was nice too. That added a little something too.
Yes, fans. It's always great to see fans and hear that roar of the crowd. And I'm not gonna lie to you, fellas. Like there were. I watched several events this weekend, and you know how we were used to seeing. It's been a year we haven't seen any people in the stands. Then there's been a sprinkle of people in the stands. And now there's a large amount of people in the stands, and I'm over here like, oh, I get those goosebumps every time. Oh, wow. And it was just really something. So, fellas, that's it for the Masters, and see the Masters again next year. All right, moving right along. We got another segment, and it's come back in Scottie D, and it's called I Call BS. And Scottie D explains to our viewers / listeners the concept of I Call BS.
All right, so what we did a few weeks ago is I gave you 4 different facts, and one of them was made up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys 4 points about baseball this year, and one of these will be incorrect. What we're going to talk about is the rules that baseball is experimenting with at the AAA and AA level this year. Baseball has always been traditional. Last year, they did some off-the-wall things, putting runner on second base, DH in the National League. So this year, they are experimenting with a few rules down at the the AA and AAA level. I'm going to tell you these 4 rules, and it's going to be up to you two fellas to declare which one you're going to call BS on. So here we go. I'm going to read them all for you through one time, then I'm going to quickly recap them, and then I'm going to let you pick. Okay. So rule number 1 being experimented in the minor leagues. Number 1, bigger bases. The base typically is 15 inches on each side. Now they're going to go with 18 inches per side. Bigger bases. Number 2, all 4 infielders must have their cleats within the boundary of the infield dirt. Now, there are some leagues that you have to have 2 guys on each side of second base. That's not this one. This one, your feet have to be on the dirt. So, in other words, your second baseman can't be playing shallow right field in the shift. They have to have 4 guys in the infield dirt. Number 3, the pitcher must step off the rubber to attempt a pickoff. Now, this one probably will be more affecting left-handed pitchers, because you guys remember Andy Pettitte used to lift his leg, and before he would start his motion towards home, he would step straight towards first base and throw it off. He would not be allowed to do that now under this rule. He would have to step off the rubber and then throw to first base. Rule number 4, a pinch runner, a player who's not yet in the game, may be used to pinch run for a pitcher who is then allowed to re-enter the game to pitch again. See, baseball never has let anybody leave a game and come back in. This rule would have a pitcher, say he gets walked or gets a hit. He's then allowed to come off the field, and a pinch runner can run for him, but the pitcher then could re-enter the game in the next inning. So one of those is BS. I'm going to read them again to you here real quick. Number 1, bigger bases. Number 2, all 4 infielders must have their cleats on the boundary of the infield dirt. Number 3, a pitcher must step off the rubber in order to attempt a pickoff. Or number 4, a pinch runner may be used for a pitcher who then would be allowed to re-enter the game. Which of those is BS, fellas? Who wants to go first?
Hi, I'm gonna try this out. Because I've heard and I've read a couple of things. So I want to say that the bigger bases, I want to say that's true. I want to say that have to have a foot in the infield. I've heard that. I think that is true. Now the third and the fourth one, those are ones where I gotta pick my brain a little bit. So you have to leave if one of the rules is saying that you have to your feet have to be off the rubber before you throw the ball for a pickoff.
Correct. You're not allowed to be on the rubber and throw to first base. You have to step off the rubber before. Otherwise, it'd be considered a balk.
Right. And then the fourth one was that a pinch runner can come in for a pitcher, and the pitcher can re-enter the game.
Yes. Any thoughts, Eddie? Cool.
I'm calling BS on the fourth one. That just seems off tradition. Pinch runner comes in. I think that's BS.
Okay. Eddie, cool. How about you? Where do you fall?
I was going to narrow it down between the first one and the fourth one, because the first one with the expansion of the bases, I'm like, that gives somebody an advantage or a disadvantage. But then I say to myself, does he get the runner disadvantage or the or the baseman a disadvantage? And I'm kind of a little iffy about that one. So I'm going to have to say the fourth one. The fourth one.
All right. So you're both going with the pinch runner thing.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 is the one that I made up. That is BS. They are going to bigger bases. They're going to do that. They're trying to make it safer so that if there's a play at second base, you have less chance of contact. There's a little bit more area to work with. And they're also going to change the texture of the base so that if there's a wet condition, it'll be harder to slip and fall off the surface. I think Bryce Harper got hurt on that last year or something to that effect. That's a triple A. The other 2 I gave you are going to be double A rules this year. And they said that the infielder thing, they may switch to the second half of the season and try the 2 infielders on each side of the base. So that might come to fruition. For now, all 4 have to have their cleats within the boundary of the dirt. And I'm not too crazy about this idea of a pitcher having to step off because it's already hard enough to pick a guy off as is. But, if you watch some of these lefty pitchers, and Andy Pettit did it to perfection, he would look home and you would swear he was going home with the ball and they'd step straight over to first base. He'd never head to the plate, and he was able to pick guys off that way. But yeah, baseball's not letting you re-enter the game. You still got to stay out once you're out. So that is one. Good job, fellas. I think that's 2 for 2 for you guys.
Yep. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes, I'm gonna have to be tougher on you next time.
You gotta up the level on that one because I came this close to going with the first base one because I'm like, okay, is that one? The other 2 seem to make logical sense, and the fourth one, I don't know. So I had to do a process of elimination. I was like, you know what? Players in and out the game unless you're position player. They don't do that. So I had to narrow it down to the fourth one. That's what that
B-Live helped you out with the first one. He said he had caught wind of the bigger base thing. So I think he got an assist. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm here to help out.
I like it. I'm giving you your props. You say I don't give you credit. There's credit for you.
Thank you, sir. I greatly appreciate it.
Well done, fellas. Well done on BS. You called BS correctly.
That's been another great edition of I Call BS. Thank you once again, Scottie D, for another great edition of that segment of the show. Before we hit the record button and got on air, we got word that Julian Edelman won't be coming back to the New England Patriots. And rumor has one report say he failed a physical, and one report says, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and retire. And with that being said, gentlemen, the question of Julian Edelman, is he a Hall of Famer? Yes and no, and why? Why not? B-Lab, I'll start with you first.
Julian Edelman, I want to say when it comes to him, he redefined the role of the slot receiver. And it's one of those things where without a Julian Edelman, do we have the likes of Tyreek Hill or one of my personal favorites, you see the Paul, Hunter Renfrow? Yeah, I said it. His miracle performances as a walk-on. Yeah, I got to give props where props due, but whenever you think of slot receiver, you think of Julian Edelman. And like where at one point in time, his size he wasn't conducive to be a NFL wide receiver. And then he literally was the consistency that helped Tom Brady become the greatest of all time. So, I mean, he consistently led the league in receptions, he was always that one piece you could rely on. You needed 5 to 7 yards, Julian Edelman. 5 to 7 yards, Julian Edelman. Third down is short, third down mid-range, Julian Edelman. So what I'm going to do right now is something that is it's going to be unbiased. I put him in the Hall of Fame. And the reason why I put him in the Hall of Fame is I think that come 5 years from now, outside of a couple other names, you might even see Tom Brady and Julian Edelman get picked in the same Hall of Fame class. I would almost think it would be bittersweet. I know Tom Brady's in the league for another 2 years, or I don't know, whatever, but it'll be somewhere close to that. And I really like right now. I'm looking at wide receivers that are still in the game or nearing retirement. Like I don't see outside the likes of a Larry Fitzgerald 5 years from now. I don't see any, like, as far as wide receivers are concerned. Yeah, I put Julian Edelman in the Hall of Fame based just on that and just the volume of catches. What's my guy from the Saints? I'm drawing a blank. That
Michael Thomas.
Yeah. So I mean, Julian Edelman was what Michael Thomas is today. Like just that person for high level quarterback. And unfortunately, just with Tom Brady's departure, we didn't really see much of his ability the past year. And then if what you say about him failing the physical, that's actually that's a hard way to go out. But I mean, I don't care unless you're eating avocado ice cream. Father Time is undefeated. So hats off to Julian Edelman. I put him in the Hall of Fame.
Scottie D, what say you?
Julian Edelman is number 2 overall in career postseason yards and touchdowns. Number 1's Jerry Rice. So he's an elite company right there. However, he has never made a Pro Bowl. He also has 6,822 yards on 620 catches, which is good numbers. But combine that with the fact he actually did have that suspension for performance-enhancing drugs, and the fact that we got guys like Torrey Holt not in the Hall of Fame yet, Jimmy Smith, Sterling Sharp. I think there's still a logjam of guys that are ahead of him that are more deserving, and I think that kind of stuff will keep him out of the Hall of Fame. So I'm going to say no, he's not.
We're going to hope that Torrey Holt makes it into the Hall of Fame, because I honestly would believe that would be a travesty, a sham mockery. But it is what it is. I would actually I'm probably going to take a little bit of time after the show and everything. I just want to look up who's eligible for the next few years. And because I think a couple of those players that you mentioned are coming up to the end of their what's it called?
Eligibility.
Their eligibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. My brain is fried right now. Why can I not think of the words that should be coming out of my mouth?
But must be that spring Carolina heat down there, be like, what's going
Oh,
on with you, man?
it is a little toasty. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm gonna have to call the AC man out here because I'll say I don't know if you can see. I got this little towel right here because a couple of beads coming off the forehead because the AC ain't working the way it should be, and I'm hot, but it's okay. I'm gonna make it. The show must go on, and I might be able. I can afford to shed off a few pounds if I'm gonna sweat it out. It's gonna be okay. And I'm like the infamous words of the head of creative. It is what it is. Yes, sir.
You gonna stop picking at my head. You gonna stop that. You gonna stop that. All right. So as far as
you made up the name. You made up the name. I didn't make up the name. I just said he going with it. So I mean, and now that they get to see us every single week, I mean they get to see that. They get to see that forehead in 4K.
Wow.
okay, forehead, holla at your boy. The name of the episode. There you go. Damn you, Be Live. Anyways, but anyways, in the case of Julian Edelman being a Hall of Famer, I think that it's going to be tough sledding because, as you mentioned, I'm looking at his numbers right now. Let's see, how many 1,000-yard seasons did he have? I saw 3 out of 11 seasons he's got over 1,000 yards, and as mentioned earlier, he's only second to Jerry Rice in all-time postseason yards too. I think that Julian Edelman may make the Hall of Fame, but it'll be like years down the road, kind of like your boy Drew Pearson, Scottie D. It'll kind of be like him.
Yeah, it took Drew a lifetime to get in there, but even Terrell Owens wasn't in his first try, and Mike Wervin was not in on his first try. I don't think Andre Rison. I mean, it's receivers get pushed back a little bit, and it seems like there's always a logjam of really good guys that they're waiting to get in, and I just don't know that Edelman had the regular season numbers. I mean, you can't discount what he did in the postseason, and that goes hand in hand with being Brady's go-to guy there for a few years. Whatever, it doesn't matter who was throwing him the ball; he was making the plays, and he was money when it mattered. But I just think he's more suited for the Hall of Very Good than the Hall of Fame. I think it's like you said, it's gonna be tough sledding to get him in.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough sledding to get him in. And also in 2018, he was a Super Bowl MVP. So I think that him being the Super Bowl MVP and him also being, second to postseason reception yards to Jerry Rice, that helps him out a little bit. And
sure.
I'm sorry, and the 3 championships that he won as a member of the Patriots, that's 1, 2, 3. That'll help him out. But I think it'll be a Drew Pearson type of situation where years and years and years down the road, he finally gets in because he was a very instrumental part of those Patriots championship teams. So best of luck to Julian Edelman. He had a pretty good career because he went to Kent State and he was a quarterback / running back. He pretty much did it all. And then, of course, he had a fraternity suit back in 2016 and the vandalism and all that stuff. But, who ain't got something against him? You know what I'm saying? Who ain't got something against him? I mean, there's been far worse being done. Trust me, fellas. We all know, we've heard stories in the NFL of far worse being done. But guess what, fellas? We go from worse to better. And guess what time it is?
What time is it? What time? What do we got? What we got going on?
Is my watch working? I gotta charge it up. Oh, I know what it's time for. It's time for our favorite segment of the show, the choices of the voices. And with that being said, hey, yo, Button, hit it.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and ever so lovely Miss Button for introducing our favorite portion of the show. Man, you heard the woman, the choices of the voices section of the show, where we ask the question, you answer, we give our answers, and we probably pick out our guests, make them mad. But you know what? It's all in good, clean fun. This is what we do here at Sports Bros Podcast. If you haven't noticed, 100+ episodes in, we have fun. Also, thank you for those of you that watched my extra pepper video involving the situation with Kevin Durant and Michael Rappaport. Hopefully you took away some educational lessons from it. All right, and with that being said, Scottie D, what's the question for this week's Choices of the Voices?
Let me tell you something, Eddie Cool. We decided this week we were going to go with WrestleMania theme. And B, by God Live, we got some good responses on who is your favorite wrestler of all time. Woo! Eddie Cool, what did we get here?
Look, you remember that Choices of the Voices what we had with the cereal and the movies? Yeah, we got a we got another lengthy one here too. All right, and speaking of woo himself, we got the OG, the Hall of Famer himself, Uncle Max, and he said, woo! Ric Flair, to be the man, you gotta beat the man. All right, so so
too easy.
He's on the top of everybody's list. Everybody likes Ric Flair.
Yeah, who does like Ric Flair? Even though what's going on now on TV, everybody still loves Ric Flair. Gotta love Ric Flair. Brian Early, he said it would have to be the Road Warriors. Yep, Hawk and Animal.
What a rush.
Somebody else put that too, I think, didn't they?
Yep, somebody else put that too. No, it was just Brian Early, but I think I found someone else too, but I'll mention
someone else wrote that their quote though. Ooh, what a rush. I forget who that was.
Yep, somebody put, ooh, what a rush. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it at? We'll get there when we're there. All right, so moving right along, we have JR. He said the legend killer, Randy Orton.
The Viper.
Yep. Who's in a
Randy Orton out of nowhere with that answer.
Hey,
yep.
The three most devastating letters in all of sports entertainment: RKO.
Yep.
And but I'm gonna say this: WWE, do better, because you did not do anybody any favors with that terrible, and I'm gonna say again, terrible match between Randy Orton and The Fiend, featuring Alexa Bliss and fireballs and thorns, and y'all in some dangerous territory. I know it's entertainment, but boy, y'all doing a lot. So I'm gonna just say do better, y'all. But Randy Orton and The Fiend are both very talented WWE superstars. Y'all gotta do better. Alexa Bliss as well. That's just please let's trash that whole storyline. I digress. Yes, sir.
Yep, time to start something different. Terrible. Pete Talansky, he said, mine is a tie between two. Number one, the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Ooh, yeah, dig it. And I know everyone who read this did it in his voice. How can you not? How can you not? How can you not?
Snap it to a Slim Jim.
Ooh, yeah, brother. Dig it. Uh-huh. All right, so here we go.
Not even gonna lie to you. That's one of the very few commercials that actually works for me. I definitely bought a lot more Slim Jims just because of Macho Man. I'm just saying.
Yep, just because of him. All right, so here we go. He said he always amped up and so entertaining. He said his 1A is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. From his start in the Rockers to him putting Marty Jannetty through the glass window in the barbershop to D-Generation X, now to teaching the up-and-comers at NXT, he has just been so good and so influential, for so long. So we got one for the Macho Man and another one for HBK, Shawn Michaels, who wasn't
a sexy boy. Sexy boy. I'm not a boy. Toy.
Ladies and gentlemen, you witness us act like we're 7 and 10 years old all over again. As you can tell, we are wrestling fans, and we ain't ashamed of it either. All right, Chris Phillips. Yeah, he was the one, Scottie D. Ooh, what a rush. The Road Warriors, a.k.a. the Legion of Doom. All right. And the best name in the game, Joe Comfort, he said, there are so many answers dancing around in my head. He gave several good ones. He said, so I'll preface by saying that I've always loved legitimate tough guys and sound mat technicians. It's a toss-up between Bruiser Brody, Harley Race, and William Regal. And about Bruiser Brody, he said, Brody was the quintessential brawler who never let on otherwise. He was an ass kicker. He ain't lying. Harley Race mixed it up with the best of them, and shoot stories of his toughness are legendary. Regal's mastery of the mat wrestling and holds is second to none. He's probably forgotten more ways to inflict pain than most wrestlers know. And he said, with all that being said, he'll give the nod to the Kansas City tough guy, Harley Race, who is the toughest wrestler on God's green earth. If you have a chance, my favorite Harley Race promo was the one where he put a bounty out on Ric Flair's head, and he was like, "There it is, $50,000 large. You take it. Kabuki, Paul Jones, you and your people. Somebody got to eliminate Ric Flair from wrestling. Take the damn money." I will post that. I will post. Oh my God. I will post that. I will post that promo up on our Facebook like page. Come and get it. It was hilarious. Handsome Harley Race. RIP to a legend. Martin Tracy, I said some foolishness here. He said Zion Clark, best to ever walk the earth. Scottie D, can you explain that? Who the hell is Zion Clark?
I think he's a amateur wrestler with no legs.
No, we're not about to do that.
No, I'm serious. I think that's what he was talking. I think that's what he's talking about.
That's what I get for not doing my research. But we'll put our research department on that. All right. And so we got a new one here. Jeffrey Scott Dean. He said Superfly Jimmy Snuka diving off the top of the cage. Yep, the
Superfly was so popular whenever I was a kid. He was like Hulk Hogan popular before Hulk Hogan came back to the WWF and became the champion. Jimmy Superfly Snuka, man. All the kids in grade school were walking around showing the I love you sign and wanting to jump off the swing set on each other and stuff like that, man. That was crazy. He was super popular.
Yeah, a lot of little kids jumped off a lot of stuff and broke up a lot of limbs.
And let me go ahead and go ahead and do this real quick. I apologize to Matty Ice because Zion Clark, yes, he has no legs. He right now wrestling at Kent State, but I've actually seen a couple of his matches, and he's really he's very technically sound and everything. And there's a story about him on Netflix, the 11-minute film Zion. So I'm actually going to check that out because that is
he's legit. Yeah, he's legit. Yeah.
So that is you got to understand when it comes to the people that we know and the amount of shenanigans that goes on when it comes to us here at the Sports Pros podcast. When we see stuff that we don't know, we might immediately call shenanigans, and so we did that. Apologies, real deal, legit. And actually, that is definitely a good shout out to Zion Clark. So
yeah, and I apologize. I didn't mean it whenever I said he's a amateur wrestler with no leg. I wasn't meaning it like as a joke. I mean, he's legit. Yeah.
Because honestly, I didn't know. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know. So
I looked him up the other day and just saw that. So I didn't take it as Matty Ice was making fun of him for having no legs. I think he was legitimately saying this dude was a legit, kind of hero in the way he's pointing out a guy that has overcome a handicap.
Yep. So as far as that goes, yes, he is a legit hero. Moving right along, we got Craig Burns. He says Chief J Strongbow, and I think that was the 70s. If I'm not mistaken, good old
70s, early 80s. Yeah, him and his brother Jules Strongbow were tag team champions a couple times. And Chief J used to. It was and kind of the precursor to the way Hulk Hogan would Hulk up. Chief J would, guys would be pounding on him, and he'd go into like his little Indian war dance where the hits were coming, they weren't affecting him like he did, and then he would go off and throw chops and all that stuff. So yeah, he was a throwback for sure.
Yep, good old Chief J Strongbow. Dave Ramito, he says the Olympic gold medalist himself, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania's own Kurt Angle.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Oh yes. And
very big entertainer. He was really entertaining.
He's funny.
Didn't he tease coming back? And I didn't see anything about it. He posted something on like his Instagram or on Facebook or something like that where he was teasing coming back, and then
I think that was because on AEW they were announced a surprise person returning that ended up being Christian. I think that's why Kurt Angle put that out there just to create a little bit more drama that he could possibly have been that mystery person when AEW had that pay-per-view last month. I think that's what that was about.
So you had me convinced.
Had me convinced too. I was like, what in the world's going on? Mark Olds, he also said Superfly, Jimmy Snooker, brother. Yep, Superfly, Jimmy Snooker. Matthew Neff, he said in the 80s, AA, Arn Anderson, the Enforcer of the Four Horsemen, 90s and 2000s, HBK, and then he said Zack Ryder, purely based on trying so hard and being destroyed by the WWE. Zack Ryder was kind of just dwindling out of nowhere until he took his creative career in his own hands. And Vince was like, hey, I want you to go grab the brass ring. And he had a series on YouTube called The Z Long Island Stories, kind of like a knockoff of the E! True Hollywood Stories. And it was entertaining. Who was subscribed to it? I was. It was entertaining. It was funny. He was singing about Bud Light Lime, doing stuff that Long Islanders does. And then, he had his moment at WrestleMania and won the Intercontinental Championship. And then that was it. Next thing you know, you got Kane throwing him off the ramp in a wheelchair. And
they killed that poor guy's career.
Yeah, I was like, hey, man, you got a guy that went out there and, as the promoter says, get over. He went out there and got over, and then it's a log jam. You got a roster full of a bunch of people, man. Things like that are prone to happen. Brittany Taylor, she said, the guy that looked like the Crow, I helped her out, and it was the man called Sting.
The icon.
And you can hear Tony Schiavone right now. It's Sting. I'm pretty sure at some point in time it will get old, but maybe but one thing I will say is that you can legit see him light up when he announces Sting on AEW right now. Like it's genuine how much he enjoys that, and that's something he's definitely known for. One thing I also looked up when Matthew mentioned Zack Ryder just before that, because I was like, he's in AEW right now, but he actually isn't. Matt Cardona, he goes on the name Matt Cardona. And I think that's his actual real name. Mm-hmm. But I guess during COVID, he didn't return or something like that. But he is looking to return, but this story was back in October. Haven't heard anything from him since, but maybe we could see a Zack Ryder, aka better known as real name Matt Cardona, in the future, because I liked him too. I really did.
Be Live. Quick update. He is in Impact Wrestling. That's where he's at.
He's at, okay. Yeah. I was supposed to say, I thought I saw him, but he's at Impact. Cool.
Yeah, he's in Impact Wrestling.
Isn't the Impact moving to Thursday night?
They are.
Yeah, the Impact's moving to Thursday. So we'll once again have 5 full days of wrestling. Good God. Not enough time. Not enough time. And we learned that this week. I'm like, there's something going on every freaking day. Like from Sunday to Sunday, there's something going on. All right, and moving right along, we got the big boss man himself, Bruce Diamond. He says, Scotty too hottie, The Rock, the American Dream, baby, Dusty Rhodes, the son of a plumber, hard times, baby, and Brutus, the barber beefcake.
There's a different one, Brutus Beefcake.
Yeah. Yep. And then we had our first mention of The Rock. Can you smell what the Scott is cooking? I'm just going to get that out the way.
Finally, the Scott has come back to the Sports Bros podcast. I can't do the eyebrow thing.
I can do it.
Hey,
look, I thought I had ambidextrous eyebrows, but this is the dominant eyebrow. I've given it a few times before. Rock, give me my royalties on that damn eyebrow. And Doug Severs, I decided to give him a name, and I'll explain it. Playboy Doug Severs. The reason I called him Playboy Doug Severs because there was a wrestler by the name of the late, great, legendary AWA wrestler in the 70s and the 80s, Playboy Doug Summers. Yeah, Playboy Doug Summers. And he said, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Woo! Yep. So
a limousine ride.
Jet flying. Yep. And we got another one for Ric Flair. Monique Adams, nice to see you again. She said, The Undertaker.
First mention of The Undertaker. And yeah, he's definitely up there. And just the different personas, and like literally to this day can electrify the wrestling audience. So the most legendary entrance of all time, by far. I don't think any that comes second. It will take him 15 minutes during WrestleMania to get to the ring,
and half an hour to get out.
Yep. When I say milking it, he milked it. There was one time I was at a friend's house, And I said that we're gonna do a timer from first.
Yeah, I remember that.
From first gong until the bell rings, and it was about damn near 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, damn near 5 minutes. But
man.
But with him officially, retiring, you enjoy those damn 5 minutes. All right, moving right along. We got a new one here. Chris Rivera, he said, Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, Bret the Hitman Hart, The Rock, the phenomenal AJ Styles, and the boss herself, Sasha Banks. Okay.
Ooh, I love some boss.
Yeah, so we got our first mentions of the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, and the boss, Sasha Banks.
AJ Styles, the only now 2-time. What's it?
Grand Slam.
Grand Slam. Yep. He did Grand Slam in Impact and in WWE. That's second to none. To be, and then that doesn't even count all the stuff he did internationally in the Japan circuit either. Like AJ Styles, I would say internationally is probably one of the greatest of all time. He's phenomenal. Oh yeah, the phenomenal. I actually bought one of my call him my nephew. He's not really my nephew, but when we were at when we went to Cleveland, when we went to that pay-per-view, me and Eddy did
in Detroit.
That was in Detroit. I bought a good friend of mine AJ Styles gloves and brought back for him. Yep. He loves wrestling. He actually is he's been wrestling for years as a kid and everything, and he's been traveling to different tournaments and everything. So you might see him in the WWE. So you're gonna hear it here first. Andy Anderson Arnett, we hope to see you in WWE, and we're big fans here at the Sports Bros Podcast. Yes, sir.
Already out the gate. Yeah, little known fact, I don't know if a lot of folks know, but AJ Styles had a brief stint in WCW as a part of a tag team called Air Raid. They had a cruiserweight tag team division. It was him, this guy named Air Paris, and AJ Styles had a brief run in WCW. He's been a while for a long time, and no doubt, man. I mean, whatever Impact couldn't do, he'd done in ROH in Japan, and now he's here in the WWE. And when he debuted at the Royal Rumble, I was like, "Who's that?" And I saw it's phenomenal. Those goosebumps I mentioned earlier, yes, I got them again, because see, a lot of times when it comes to the wrestling industry, they got something called dirt sheets or rumor reports, and a lot of things get leaked. But whoever didn't leak that one, thank you. We appreciate it now more than ever. All right, last but not least, we got Corey Loggerin. He said the newest member of the WWE Hall of Fame, Rob Van Dam, aka I got some rolling papers. What?
Man, that was epic. That was epic. And just he was another one just lit up like the universe, like the wrestling universe, is whenever he entered, and the entire crowd, and that he was definitely one, and well deserving him in the Hall of Fame. So
one of the early high flyers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, one of the early high flyers, man. He was another guy. I remember, oh my God, I'm really starting to show my age. A long time ago, there was a promotion based out of North Carolina called South Atlantic Pro Wrestling. I remember when he was there, and I think he was under the name Robbie V. I remember him back then. I remember him when he was in WCW, and then I saw him in ECW. I'm like, oh, we got a good guy. So by that time, he honed his craft and was very good, and he became Mr. Monday Night and the whole effing show. And he's pretty much been all over the place. So if you want to get y'all some rolling papers, go to RVD CBD and get you some rolling papers. I can't believe they did that. I know Peacock is tripping. We want kid-friendly entertainment. Yeah. Mommy, what's rolling papers? Yeah, good job explaining that. Good job.
One day, marijuana will be legal in all 50 states, and we'll look back at this time and it'll be okay. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. As long as you teach your kids responsibility and all the other things. And we here at the Sports Bros Podcast do not condone drug use in any way, fashion, or whatever. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get that what's called disclaimer notice out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, disclaimer.
But
don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself. With that being said, shout out to
Scott. Why are you looking at me like that?
You're crazy.
Yeah, let's carry on.
Hey, and with that being said, shout out to Uncle Max, Brian Early, JR, Terrible Pete Talansky, Chris Phillips, the best name in the game, Joe Comfort, Martin Tracy, Joe Scott Dean, Craig Burns, Dave Marmito, Mark Olds, Matthew Neff, Brittany Taylor, the big boss man, Bruce Diamond, Playboy, Doug Severs, Monique Adams, Chris Rivera, and Corey Logren for their participation in this week's Choices of the Voices. Damn, fellas, I'm out of breath. Scottie D, who you got?
All right, I had to narrow this down. This was harder than I thought. I'm telling you, my two runner-ups are Chris Jericho and Scott Hall. I've always been a favorite of the heels, the bad guys, the guys who are most entertaining to me are those guys. That left me with Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner, who was like one of my all-time favorites. I mean, he was so muscular, his freaks and his peaks. You know, had the women out there just saying crazy off the wall promos. I mean, he had for a while there, he was it in WCW. He had the look, the attitude, everything. He was in the NWO. I mean, he was fantastic. And I probably will have said him most of my adult life because I had to go back to YouTube a couple weeks ago and watch some old clips of my first ever favorite wrestler, Rowdy Roddy Piper, who stirred the straw more than anybody. If you're a young wrestler, you want to learn how to be a heel, watch what this dude did back in the day, because he actually elevated Hulk Hogan to the heights of popularity by playing off of him back in the early 80s. So it's hard for me to choose between Rowdy Roddy Piper and his old school ways and Scott Steiner into the 2000s. And those are my two favorites. I'm going to call a tie between those two guys. Be Live, how about you?
I like it. I like a little Roddy Piper. I definitely like that. And Scott Steiner's promo for Sacrifice will just forever be just go.
Steiner math.
Yeah. When he was adding, yeah. Google that.
Joe, you got a 33rd, 4/3 chance, and then Kurt Angle, you got a 95th and 1 second chance. Me, on the other hand, what?
He knows he can't beat me, but he got 33 in the third position. But him in, wait a minute, this is not good math at all.
No.
Oh my God. But when I tell you, all right, well, I'm gonna put up there real quick, the Rock, one of the greatest on the mic of all time.
The greatest.
Mention him. Also want to mention, nobody mentioned John Cena. No, why? And I'm going to mention him for two reasons. His impact with kids in the Make-A-Wish Foundation is huge.
Yep.
His contributions is second to none.
He granted most in the history of the program.
Yeah,
he's number one all time. Yeah, he's number one all time in Make-A-Wish granted.
Yeah, and then Word Life. This is Crazy Thugonomics. I giggled inside because he was masterful on the mic as well. But one person that did not get mentioned and does not, I don't think, gets enough recognition. Cactus Jack, Mick Foley, Mankind, Dude Love. The amount of characters that this guy was and just him being just hard. He is the definition of hardcore. And I know you guys remember that Hell in a Cell match between him and The Undertaker. Jeez, that just next level. And so this was one of the things, anytime you saw one of his matches, you knew that it was going to go to another level. What was it? Mr. Sacco, and just
you knew he's taking a beating. You knew that much.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Getting killed. And
Mick Foley was one of those things that really made us believe and think that wrestling was real. Because at the end of the day, it's not. Of course, it's scripted and everything. And I'm mad at y'all right now. Y'all ain't tell me the whole show that my collar was crooked the whole time.
I'm over like, what is he doing? I'm sitting the whole time. I'm like, man, we got a good flow going. And next thing you know, I'm saying, Yeah, so
I honestly look at you as little as possible.
he was a legend, and he was a legend. And my college had it the whole time. Sorry, I mean, hey, be live as they say in the wrestling business. We know sold it. We know sold it. We know sold it. Your collar.
God bless America. I just looked down like, oh my goodness. But yeah, Mick Foley is my favorite, my favorite of all time. And I'm gonna put in an honorable mention. MJF. Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I like the guys on the mic, and his mic work is phenomenal. Like
he is a modern day kind of Roddy Piper version because he's playing that heel version up. I like him a lot too.
And he's in his early 20s.
Yeah, I think he's got a very long career ahead of him. Just his mic work alone, he's just that's my dude. So he might propel himself to my favorite when I'm old and gray. Wait a minute, I'm already old and gray. All right, cool. Eddie, cool. I digress. Sorry.
All right. With that being said, that leaves me. Oh boy, that leaves me Eddie Cool. So, I've been watching wrestling a long time. When my father was alive, that's the thing that really that's what really bonded us together. His love and our love for pro wrestling is something that he's no longer with us. But wrestling is something that's here always and forever. There's sports, there's wrestling, and it's always here, always and forever. I watched a lot of guys. One of my guys is Booker T. I remember watching Booker T on ESPN. He was on what was the federation called? The Global Wrestling Federation. Little known fact, fellas, that's where Buff Bagwell got his start, and the Patriot as well too. Him and his brother were Kane and Cole, and they were known as Booker T and Stevie Ray of the Ebony Experience. And then later on, they got signed to WCW and became one of the greatest tag teams of all time in that promotion. And then Booker T broke out on his own during his time in WCW, and he became the five-time WCW heavyweight champion. He became one of the most decorated wrestlers in promotion history. And then with his charisma, his ability, and his expressions, he went from teaming with Goldust to having WrestleMania matches, the grocery store brawl with with Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is classic today. And then him and Goldust picking at The Rock. Scorpion King is like, I'm the Scorpion King. I got a sword too. I'm Booker T. And he's a Hall of Famer too. And Bad Bunny, who I'll talk about later on, also has a song called Booker T. But the man himself, the kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, 16-time world champion, one of the greatest territory guys of all time. You name the wrestler, he's pretty much faced him until his retirement match in the early part of 2000s. Ric Flair has done it all, and he's a two-time Hall of Famer by himself, and along with the Four Horsemen in the 80s. I'm trying to tell you, if you're watching this now, you got to get a chance, and you have to go watch some old school Ric Flair stuff. Screaming, hollering, throwing his clothes, elbowing coats. Ric Flair is that dude. Like, if you want to be, that guy, you need to watch yourself some Ric Flair. Ric Flair was that guy. Woo, the Nature Boy.
Oh yeah, he mastered the art of the promo. Like his promo work was, of course, you hear me say this, but his promo work was second to none, and it was just he
revolutionized the promo.
Yeah, and honestly, wrestling would not be the way it is now. It wouldn't be the sports entertainment entity that it is if it wasn't for Ric Flair. Without question. He put the entertainment into wrestling, and it's the world of WWE, AEW, all of these wrestling companies, they owe a huge debt to Ric Flair. And at the end of the day, he's still having a hard time holding these alligators down.
I don't have it all.
Hey guys, let me ask you real quick here. We'll all three answer this. No explanations, just an answer. Favorite tag team of all time?
Steiner Brothers.
Ooh.
God, I wasn't ready.
For me,
I was going to say Harlem Heat.
Harlem Heat.
Harlem Heat. So.
The outsiders for me. I love those guys. All right, that was kind of fun, man. It's a little different, off the tracks here from normal. We'll get back to some sports stuff next week.
Yep. So shout out to our participants in this week's Choices of the Voices. At first, I was like, I don't know how this wrestling thing going to go down, but we're going to make the most of it. But as you can see, it's always our most unconventional, unconventional topic that gets the most replies. So that's like what number 1 all time was the favorite breakfast cereal. Number 2 was the movies, and number 3 is the wrestling ones. We're all wrestling fans. WrestleMania was great. Like I said earlier about the Masters and the crowd being back there, it was great seeing the crowd at WrestleMania and seeing like everybody on stage and Vince opening up like those. I got those goosebumps, and I was like, I sat there like I'm in my living room looking at the TV. I'm like, there's people. Oh God, there's a bunch. I was in awe. So you definitely WrestleMania last year and this year, 2 totally different. It's the same event, but 2 totally different atmospheres. In a Performance Center, 2-night extravaganza. In Raymond James Stadium, a 2-night extravaganza with people, fireworks, pyrotechnics. Bailey calling Michael Cole a clown. It's amazing to see wrestling. And a lot of people like, oh well, it's fake. No, it's predetermined, it's scripted. But think about it, you got guys like Ricochet doing what he does, the Lucha Brothers doing what they do. Scottie D, that's your second favorite tag team, right? The Lucha Brothers.
Yeah, I love them.
You got the Lucha Brothers doing what they do. Like, you got a lot of high. You have to have a little smidgen of athleticism to pull off some of these moves. I forgot to mention one of my other favorite wrestlers was Too Cold Scorpio. The distant don't miss, man. He was a bigger dude, but he was all about that flip flop and fly too. And he was definitely a great man. Too Cold Scorpio and Ric Flair, and everybody had great choices. There's no right or wrong answer, fellas. Everybody had great choices. And with that being said about choices, what's the question for next week's Choices of the Voices, Scottie D? What's on tap?
All right, well, guys, I'm sure by now everyone's heard this terrible story came out last week about Phillip Adams. He was a former NFL player, 32 years old. He killed 5 people and himself. And they are going to study his brain to see if he had some CTE going on there. He was a South Carolina guy. I think he played at South Carolina State, I want to say, and then played for the 49ers, I think. Anyway, I was thinking about asking hot and cold, terrible story and an uplifting sports story. But we're going to scrap that. We're just going to ask you, give us an uplifting, pleasant, happy ending sports story of something that happened off the field, not just, my team won the Super Bowl. Tell us about something, a great story, something you heard an athlete do for somebody, something that happened to an athlete or coach, something positive. We're going to talk about something good and positive and uplifting next week. I want to hear something good and positive, damn it, on next week's episode of the Choices of the Voices.
Good vibe, baby. Yep. Good vibes, baby. With that being
going
said,
outside the lines. Give us something positive.
Outside the lines, you better hope that 4-letter network doesn't get us.
We're not going to call it that, but you know what I'm saying. We want to step outside of just what happened on the field. Yep. Outside the box.
Yep. Outside of the box, outside of parameters. Kind of like how Fox Sports became Bally Sports, but that's another topic for another day. I don't like that whole thing. But with that being said, that's been another edition of the Choices of the Voices.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
All right, you heard the one with another round of pepper. We finna go home and get the hell up out of here. You know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire kind of style. Kind of, sort of, not really. We're here to enlighten and entertain. So you might as well call this just enlightened entertainment. And with that being said, I'll go first. 1 of 3. All right, here we go. So in this day in history, back in 1997, the 61st Masters Tournament at Augusta National Golf Course, Tiger Woods, y'all, wins his first major title, a record 7 strokes ahead of Tom Kite. 4-round total of 270. Under 18 is a tournament record. So Tiger establishes dominance right there and then as, hey guys, I'm here. And the rest, as they say, is history. Over to you, Scottie D.
History. All right. I just recently learned that Kevin James, actor Kevin James, is slated to play Sean Payton in a Netflix movie about Sean Payton coaching his kid back during the Bounty Gate suspension. You guys remember years ago he had to set out a whole season, and this is going to tell a story about what he did, I guess, during that year where he was coaching his kids. Sean Payton has signed off on this. I guess he read the script, liked it, made a couple corrections to make it more factual, but he's got Kevin James playing him. I mean, I know through the years Sean Payton's picked up a couple LBs, but wouldn't you think he would want somebody a little bit more flattering than Kevin James? I hope it comes out good, man. I'm looking forward to seeing it, but The Athletic said, sign Brad Pitt up or somebody like that. Kevin James is going to be Sean Payton. Interesting.
The King of Queens.
The King of Queens is going to be Sean Payton.
Paul Blart.
Come on, bro. All right, B-Lab, over to you, buddy.
So when they make the Sports Bros podcast movie, I can see Kevin James playing the Money Man.
I've heard that said before, yeah. Except I'm sculpted like a Greek god.
Yeah.
You two do kind of favor, but
yeah.
In the words of the Almighty be like, I digress. Because I'm over here like y'all do kind of look like. But go ahead.
Well, so with my first pepper point, because I know you had a question. Because when it comes to me and when it comes to the podcast, I like to wear the part. And so at some point in time, I got to bring up the Paul. And I keep forgetting which side it's on because the camera flips on me, whatever. Anyway, the infamous hashtag all roads lead to Dabo.
Dabo.
And they do, because prior to Baylor winning the championship over the then undefeated Gonzaga, Scott Drew reached out to somebody that he knew that was an underdog in a big game and overcame everything and came out on top. And that would be none other than the aforementioned Dabo Swinney. Scott Drew reached out to Dabo Swinney before the championship game for advice and a little motivation, and it just seems like Dabo can coach everything. He's now a basketball coach now. So congratulations to the Baylor Bears, coached by Scott Drew and influenced by my coach, inspired by my coach, the great Dabo Swinney. Yes, sir. Eddie Cool. The ball.
I'm running. Oh, I caught the ball. All right, my second pepper point. We were talking about wrestling during the Choices of Voices segment. If you haven't heard it, go back to listen to that as well too. WrestleMania performance. Every year they have a celebrity that gets involved in the ring and action. And I'm going to tip my cap to multi-platinum, Grammy-winning, award-winning artist Bad Bunny. At first, I was like, hell. What the hell is a Bad Bunny? Well, I did a little bit of research, and come to find out that Bad Bunny is a lifelong wrestling fan. And he's like, you know what? I want parts of WrestleMania. I want to get in. I want to get involved. And I'll say this. It was about 3 weeks ago. I said to myself, you know what? I'll give Bad Bunny credit, because you know why? He's in the ring, getting dirty. He's getting down. I think he actually punched the Miz in the mouth for real. He didn't pull that punch. He let it go. He let that thing go and hit him in the mouth. Diving off the top rope, cross body blocks and everything. So I have a newfound respect for Bad Bunny. But then came this WrestleMania match where him and his tag team partner, Damian Priest, got the win over The Miz and John Morrison. And he did a Canadian Destroyer, which is now known as the Bunny Destroyer. All right. And as we see, like a lot of actors and athletes, they get into the ring and they kind of look lost. From the looks of it, Bad Bunny, he really took it serious. He really, really, really took it seriously. And so hats off to you, Bad Bunny. And I'm not gonna lie, I've been listening to his hit smash song, Booker T, on repeat. Booker T. Yeah, Bad Bunny, who's going on tour sometime in 2022. And I don't know. I might just go see him for the hell of it. Oh,
not me. Not me. All right. So the Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, they were in negotiations to have an exhibition fight over Memorial Day weekend. For some reason, I don't know why that fell through. Now, Evander Holyfield is going to take on Kevin McBride in an exhibition. Kevin McBride was actually the last fighter that Mike Tyson fought professionally, and he beat him. My question is, why? I didn't want to see Evander Holyfield and Tyson. Now we're going to get an exhibition between Holyfield and Kevin McBride. What? Guys, stop this. Stop doing this. Eric Morales is signing up for these. Fernando Vargas. These guys are signing, these old dudes are signing up for these exhibition fights, and they're no good. Stop it. Bro, come on. Be live, over to you.
58 years old, Evander Holyfield. Let that sink in.
There's so many. Well, Mike Tyson's with AEW, and he made an appearance last week. So I mean, they I don't know. I don't want to see any of it, but yeah, whatever. All right. Well, speaking of things that just blow your mind, that got you scratching your head, and how, and who did it, and where. The University of Southern California has had a new football recruit. And nobody seemed to know who he was. So this new recruit actually shared a jacuzzi with other football players. He ate at the football dining facility without issue. And he also slept for some time at a suite in the Coliseum. But here's the problem with that. He is not enrolled at the University of Southern California, nor is he recruited for the Trojans, but he's homeless. And this could probably be one of the greatest homeless jobs ever, that he managed, not especially during the time of COVID-19, that he managed not only to get into the jacuzzi, share jacuzzi with other football players, and nobody was the wiser. He was eating good with the football team. He was sleeping in the suite in the Coliseum. But here's the kicker. You know how he got caught?
He blew it.
He actually went out on the field and was trying to catch punts and return punts. And I'm like, wait a minute. Who is he? The coach was like, what? No. And come to find out, this dude was homeless. And oh my goodness, the hats off. You got to be, hey, hopefully, you know what? Hopefully this is a feel-good story and somebody can help him out, because you know what? It sucks that we, in a time like this especially, not to have shelter. But man, I get a slight chuckle. Yeah. Because my man said he was committed all the way. If he's gonna pull his off, he is literally.
He was literally all in.
My man's out there catching. He was trying to get on the field. He was trying to be a walk-on.
He's going for the Heisman, man. He's like, right. I'm gonna get the Heisman next year. He's gonna be a walk-on and find a way to become a scholarship player and all. Man, hey, hats off. Eddie Cool. Here's the punt. The ball.
I'm gonna wait fair catch. You gotta go over my head. And you know what, man? I'm not mad at him. I am not mad at him no whatsoever. He was literally gonna finesse his way onto that damn team. That would have been funny if he would have got a whole jersey number, and I would have been on the floor dying of absolute laughter. What's your name? My name is Bernard. Where'd you go to high school? Oh, I dropped out. What the hell? Anyways, that's neither here nor there. So here we go. Yesterday, I saw something with mine own two eyes. Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Somebody go get somebody. And I'm going to tell you why. Somebody sent Clint Capella a care package because Miles, because he got dunked on. It was bad.
I want that poster.
Because he caught a body. Oh my God. He caught a body. What's that kid's name? Miles what?
Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges.
Yeah,
Posterized.
Yeah, somebody saying Clint Capella a care package because Miles Bridges has caught a body. A whole body. There was another dunk that happened somewhere else in the NBA, but this one?
Google it if you haven't seen it, because it's worth watching.
It's like I said, it's on YouTube. I'll share it on our post. I think I did, but I'll put it back up again on our Facebook Live page. Bruh. Victim.
Yeah.
Hashtag sports bros victim.
Stamp on his forehead now, and I'll probably record a reaction video to that dunk. Lord Jesus, it's Scottie D. Here you go, the ball. Here's the ball, Scott.
All right, guys, follow along with me here for just a second. Follow along here. This is baseball talk.
Okay.
All right, so far this season, Jamison Tyone pitching for the Yankees, 1 appearance, 4 2/3 inning, 2 earned runs. Garrett Cole has 2 earned runs, given up 2 earned runs in 12 innings. He's 1-0. Tyler Glasnow of the Rays has given up 1 earned run in 12 innings. Joe Musgrove of the San Diego Padres has given up 3 hits, 0 earned runs in 15 innings, including the first no-hitter last week in Padres history. Do you see the common thread of these 4 pitchers? All were within the last couple of years were Pittsburgh Pirates. Come on, man. Come on, guys. Bro, these dudes couldn't pitch more than 2 innings in Pittsburgh. Now, they throw no hitters, no runs coming. They're winning games. Come on, man. Be live, over to you.
Oh, boy. I felt your pain. Oh, man.
As soon as he said, what they have in common, they just play for the Pirates. And I was like, oh, Lord.
Oh, my God. Scott, I'm so sorry.
Matter of fact, the Pirates traded Garrett Cole to get Joe Musgrove, then traded him away, and then he throws a no-hitter. Unbelievable.
Man, oh, man. America's pastime. It is that time. And I'm going to stick with my third pepper point. I'm going to stick with Major League Baseball. And just to let our listeners and our viewers know that this topic that I choose will become a major topic on, at the very beginning of the show. What's the name of the very beginning of the show again? What's the
top of the order?
Top of the order.
Top of the order.
Oh, yeah. So, MLB, hashtag do better. And I'm particularly calling out the umpires because, man, if you saw the Phillies Braves game yesterday, Sunday, and you watched multiple replays, and they managed to not overturn that that run, and I clearly did not touch the plate at all, and everybody saw it. Everybody saw it, and everybody saw it.
Whoopsie.
Yeah, and they missed that completely. Like, you wasted all this time with the replay that we all saw, but y'all couldn't see it. But that actually isn't the worst that we've seen, because the Miami Marlins should have a legitimate gripe with the umpires when they were playing the Mets, where everybody and their grandma can see this ball is clearly a strike. It is in the strike zone. And there's a rule in place that you can't stand in the strike zone, and if the ball's coming near you, have to make a conscious effort to not get hit by the ball. You could clearly see, open your eyes, open them. You could clearly see that this guy leaned into the pitch, it nicked him, and it ended up being a game-winning walk-off hit by pitch. Have you ever heard of that before. Now it's probably happened. It's a very, very rare thing. But for a game-ending, game-winning walk-off hit by pitch, you would actually want it to be legit.
Dinner's in the oven, bro. They got to go.
Like, like, bruh, man, come on, man.
Both of those calls were in the 9th inning, man. Dinner was in the oven.
You get this. I'm telling you, like I said, if you don't do better, we're gonna put this at the top of the order, and then we really gonna talk some trash about you. So
penalty
baseball
box.
Umpires, yep, as he said it, hashtag penalty box, hashtag do better. Yes, sir.
This is supposed to be a hashtag, so don't mind me. Don't mind me. All right, fellas, we got all 3 of our pepper points in.
Yes, sir,
brother.
All right, fellas, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats, dogs, monkeys, and Pikachus, be live gonna laugh. I know it's gonna pop you. That's it for another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast, episode number 104, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it's episode number 104. And before we get up out of here, we got anything we want to say before we watch the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania and eat a little bit dinner or anything? Anybody got anything to say? Anything else?
Arizona Wildcats fired Sean Miller, college basketball. Sean, come on home, baby. Come on home. Come on home, baby. Come on.
Eddie Cool, please post that reaction video of you behind the scenes with Scott with Can You Smell What the Scott is Cooking? Just please post that to our main page.
Okay,
please.
From last week's. Okay, yes.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
I'm crying laughing with that. And one, I want to mention a tag team that I actually growing to really like. When I didn't at first, but I really like them now. Hope WWE doesn't mess it all the way up. The Street Profits.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Viking Raiders.
No. Where are they?
I think one of them's injured.
It doesn't matter. It
doesn't matter. But the Street Profits, but I still don't understand why they one time they had the blue Solo Cups when they were on SmackDown, but they switched back to the red Solo Cups. I don't. Are they? I don't know. They did it one time. I remember they had the blue Solo Cups flying from the sky, and they used the blue Solo Cups one time. They switched back to the red, which doesn't match the SmackDown color theme. But that's neither here nor there. Let's watch some Raw and let's go on out of here.
Yeah, can you please?
Are you ready?
Did he just shush me? Did he just do? Okay, all right.
Watch out! Watch out! He's coming out of his shirt. With that being said, I'm Eddie Cool. You can not find me in St. Louis, but you can find me on all the Sports Bros related social media platforms. And Scott taking his shirt off, and he's getting ready to get up out of here. You can catch behind.
Nobody trying to see it. Cut scene. Cut.
And close and do something nice for yourself. And if you can't do something nice for someone else, let's get the hell up out of here because Scotty fit to get naked and ain't nobody got time for that. Ladies and gentlemen, catch us on all our social media platforms. This has been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. Thank you for listening and watching. We love you. Goodbye. Good night. Y'all take care.
If you smell what the Scott is cooking.
He did it again. Oh, that was funny. Off the rails.